Why didn't Deebo get traded? Why did Deebo not get traded?
Because the 49ers didn't want to, and because they didn't get an offer that forced them to. So it's interesting these trade offers don't always get made public, but once I knew Deebo wasn't happening on Friday morning, I mentioned what the offer was. And what's interesting about trade offers is you can actually go in the trade value chart and figure out, was it worth it, was it not? So, you can look at, let's say one team trades for another player. You can look at the trade value chart and be like, oh, wow, the Lions got a great deal on their Jameson Williams trade, for instance, whatever it is. And I looked up the Jets offer, which was it was a 1 and 111 for 61, I believe. And it's not quite the 13th overall pick, so they just didn't view it as a good enough offer. And the Lions' offer was, I think, a 1 and a 3, and the 49ers didn't view that as a good enough offer, and they wanted to keep the player anyway, so they just didn't trade him. And I think we were all waiting for what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Well, they can't take him back, and the 49ers we didn't get enough. We like the player. We'll fix it. But now it's going to get interesting just as far as how they actually fix it.
What needs fixing based on your information?
Just the relationship, and I think when a player, so much goes into asking to be traded. And I think, we've talked about his role. He doesn't want to be a running back. We talked about that. I'd say there was some other issues below the surface that, Deebo feels some sort of way about. We've seen it get fixed in the past. We've seen players, actually the 49ers have had a couple of them. Robbie Gould, I think, was one. Player Raheem Mostert was another who asked to be traded, then came back. So it's not impossible. And Lynch and Shanahan are very charismatic. So perhaps they could do it, but they got to bring Deebo back into the fold. And, they've been willing to do a contract. That generally helps people feel better. Like A.J. Brown didn't want to leave the Titans, just really, really liked the Titans. Eagles gave him a good opportunity, plus a huge bag of money, and that makes sometimes people feel better.
Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show. Why didn't Baker Mayfield get traded over the weekend?
There were two reasons for that. One was they couldn't agree on money. They couldn't agree on how the salary would be split. And when we've seen these in the past, which obviously we saw one last year with Teddy Bridgewater, the Panthers were clearly moving on, so they had to deal him. And I think I can't remember the exact number. I thought it was split basically down the middle on his $16 or $17 million salary or whatever it was. So one side took half, the other side took the other half. They gave him a late round pick. Boom, Bridgewater traded. The problem here is that he has a little more value to the Browns because they may have to use him, or they may have to pretend they might have to use him, or Deshaun Watson might get suspended and they might really, really have to use him, which, people are having a hard time understanding, and I 100% agree. However, I would also argue maybe it makes sense for Baker Mayfield to be a starting quarterback again, even with the Browns, to redo his stock. So there's a lot going on here, and I think the Panthers at some point go, you know what? We're just going to take this rookie. We're just going to trade up and take this rookie. We're just going to move on from this whole thing. And so that's what they did.
So it was the Panthers that had the interest in
it was the Panthers, yeah. And I didn't get the sense that there was any other teams involved. And, we were talking on the broadcast Saturday about the Seahawks. I kind of never got the sense they were in the mix there.
So what's his option? It looks like he's not going anywhere until, he becomes the Sam Bradford for another team that needs him because their quarterback had a freak accident. I mean, you're banking on a freak accident or a suspension by, of Deshaun Watson. Those are his two best options to find work?
I think that's it. Yeah, banking on a freak accident or banking on, this sucks, but I'm going to have to go play for this team again. And there's so many different levels to this. Let's just say the Browns are good. I think they're going to be good. So let's just say Baker goes out there for 4 games. I have no idea what Deshaun Watson's suspension is going to be, if there is one, but just for the sake of this discussion, let's say it's 4 games. So then let's say he goes 3-1. Might somebody go, you know what? That looks like Baker of old. He's healthy. He's good. He's confident. Maybe I'll trade that guy midseason if I lose my quarterback. It's all good for him. even though it's a bad situation overall.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.